Whenever I need to send roses that are guaranteed to make someone's day, the only place I trust is 1-800-Flowers.com. With 1-800-Flowers, my friends and family always receive stunning, high-quality bouquets that they absolutely love. Right now, when you buy a dozen multicolored roses, 1-800-Flowers will double your bouquet to 2 dozen roses. To claim this special double roses offer, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/WWO. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/WWO.
Since 2011, American Giant has been making everyday clothing with extraordinary effort. Not in far-off factories, but right here in the USA. We obsess over fabrics, fit, and details, because if you're going to wear it every day, it should feel great and last for years. From the cut of a hoodie to the finishing of a seam, nothing is overlooked. Our supply chain is tight-knit and local, which means less crisscrossing the country and more care in every step. The result is durable clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, and denim that become part of your life season after season. This isn't fast fashion, it's clothing made with purpose by people who care as much about how it's made as how it fits. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with code STAPLE20.
He's a retired police officer from Alabama. During his police career, he was involved in a fatal shooting. He developed PTSD. He got a lot of blowback, lots of threats from the community. Had to change agencies as a result of that. He's here to talk about the incident, how it impacted him, and what he does about it today. Welcome to the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show. In the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show, we are joined by special guests talking about their experiences, the realities of investigating crimes, plus those who have experienced horrendous trauma. Police, first responders, military, and victims of crime share their stories. Hi, I'm John J. Wiley. In addition to being a broadcaster, I'm also a retired police sergeant. Be sure to check out our website, letradio.com, and also like us on Facebook. Search for the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show. One of the questions I get all the time is, how can I show my support for law enforcement? We're all busy. We've got busy lives, but there's something oh so simple you can do with our Facebook page. Search for Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show Facebook page. And when you see a post you agree with that resonates with you, share it, especially episodes of the podcast. To do all that, just search for us on Facebook, look for Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show, and be sure to click like. Contacting us from the great state of Alabama, we have Jay Packy Dempsey. He likes to go by Packy. He is a retired police officer from the state of Alabama. He was involved in a fatal shooting, developed PTSD, had to change agencies. He's going to tell us all about that. He's author of the book Fastest 4 Seconds, and his website is fastest4seconds.com. Jay or Packy, thanks for your service, and thanks for being a guest on the show and telling us all about it. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and we have gone through the you-know-what to trying to get this interview to happen, and we're finally making it happen. So one of the things that doesn't get talked about in the media at all is when officers are involved in shootings and what happens afterwards. And you're going to share a lot of that from your own personal experience, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And here's what I say. I was involved in 4 shootings in a little more than 10 years. The first 2, I never fired a shot back. The last 2 were different affairs. Fortunately, everybody lived. There's no fatalities, but none of them were like the media says they are. And what we don't get in society in general is, I always say this, is a platform for police officers in particular to tell their stories. We've relied on the news industry for too long to tell their stories, and now they're so biased, they're not even close to truth.
That's correct.
So tell us about yours. First, and by the way, I was thoroughly shot out after my career was over, physically, mentally, emotionally, and a biggest part of the problem for me, I always say this, it's not the big things. It's the ants on the kitchen counter that get to me. It's the daily grind that got to me. The daily police work thing that got to me. It wasn't the big so-called critical incidents. Is that fair for you?
That's correct.
It just never ended. And the biggest source of stress for me was my department. It wasn't the bad guys on the street. And the bad guys on the street, by the way, I always say this, we didn't arrest everybody we dealt with. And even those we did arrest, the vast majority, the overwhelming majority, were not bad guys. They wouldn't hurt you. There was no danger. It was a very small percentage.
Yes, sir.
How's that for you? Was the department the biggest source of your problem, or was it the street, or was it a combination?
It was a combination, of course. The chief deputy was awesome. He carried me through it to this day. The grand jury voted 9-9, even though they saw the incident on video camera.
When you say they voted, grand jury voted 9-9, was that to not pass? What do they call it?
Indict.
Not to indict. So that's what they voted for. That you were justified.
Yes, sir. It takes 12 to indict or not indict in the state of Alabama, and they voted strictly off who I was. They didn't care that the suspect tried to kill me.
Right. Even though the whole incident was captured on body camera, which is before my time.
Yes, sir.
So take us to that. And without saying the agency, tell us what happened, beginning from the start. You get the call for service, and you showed up. But what was it about?
I got a call to a project area that used to be a Air Force base. We had received somewhere around 200 calls that year at this project. I got a call for gambling, drinking, drug dealing, drug usage. I responded. It took me about 15 minutes, which is a normal response time. I responded, went through the cul-de-sac. 8 males exited the area. I made the block again. They did not leave. I stopped, activated my camera I just bought from Sears, exited the vehicle, and saw one of the subjects had a piece of crack cocaine in his fingers. As I told him to leave, he put the crack in his pocket, and I asked to pat him down. When I did, the first mistake I made was I patted him down facing me. Mm-hmm. I went straight for the drugs. There was a hole in the pocket. I shook the legs. The crack fell out the bottom. He attacked me immediately. A struggle ensued that lasted 1 minute. My canine was deployed from a bailout system. During the struggle, I reached for my radio. He got my gun. He swiped it, hit the dog in the head and the ground, put the trigger to my head, or the weapon to my head, and pulled the trigger. It didn't go off. It was stovepiped. I did not know that.
Stovepiped is a form of a jam.
It's called, the FBI called it a stovepipe, where the shell
but
partially
here, the
ejected.
vast majority of people listening to the show do not work for the FBI. They don't know what that means.
Yes, sir. So just jammed. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the gun didn't go off because it was jammed. And usually the cause of that is because they're not handling it correctly. They're not putting enough grip or enough support. Usually what causes a jam like that with semi-automatics.
That's correct.
And I'm not a ballistics expert. And people say this all the time. I carry a gun every day, primarily for self-defense. But I'm not into muzzle velocity. I really don't care about any of that stuff.
Yes, sir.
So tell us more about what happened.
All right. I was able to regain my footing. The dog went back in, distracted him. I reached for my weapon. It wasn't there. It took me 4 seconds to realize I have to apply deadly force. I reached for my backup weapon that I carried in a handcuff case on my back. I fired what I thought to be 2 rounds, but ended up being 5 rounds, center mass, just like we had trained on the range. Subject turned and ran, unaffected.
And there was a period of time where I carried a backup gun, and then I stopped. And I used to carry, this is way before your time, we'll visit something you said I think is very crucial. We used to carry slapjacks, and when I first started in the department, I did, and then I stopped carrying them because there was something else I had to defend against in a fight. Fights were that often.
That's correct.
And those things can be used against you, and that's it. Here's what. Number one, I want to visit something before we go to break. We got a break coming up very soon. You bought a camera from this that wasn't provided by the department.
That's correct. That was pre-camera days.
So about what year was that?
It was in 1994. I purchased a camera from Sears for $800. That would be somewhere around $3,000 in today's market.
And did that provide the evidence that kept you from being indicted by the grand jury?
Yes, sir, it did. That and a really good investigative team.
We're talking with Jay Packy Dempsey. He goes by Packy. He's a retired police officer in Alabama. He's involved in a fatal shooting, developed PTSD. He wrote a book about the entire incident called The Fastest 4 Seconds, and his website is fastest4seconds.com. Ever miss an episode of the Law Enforcement Radio Show? Never fear. You can sign up for our free email newsletter and get access to past podcast episodes. Plus, all subscribers are automatically entered in all future contests. Sign up at letradioshow.com. Scroll down to the sign-up area. That's letradioshow.com. We promise we will never spam you. Sign up at letradioshow.com. This is the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show. We're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to go into the details of what happened, what life was like afterwards, why he changed to other agencies, and more. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Remember when free meant free? No charge, no credit card information needed. Well, a place like that still exists on the internet. The Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show website, letradio.com. Where everything is free, including the podcast, episodes are available after airing on radio. The website is letradio.com. That's letradio.com. Where free means free.
Since 2011, American Giant has been making everyday clothing with extraordinary effort. Not in far-off factories, but right here in the USA. We obsess over fabrics, fit, and details, because if you're going to wear it every day, it should feel great and last for years. From the cut of a hoodie to the finishing of a seam, nothing is overlooked. Our supply chain is tight-knit and local, which means less crisscrossing the country and more care in every step. The result is durable clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, and denim that become part of your life season after season. This isn't fast fashion, it's clothing made with purpose by people who care as much about how it's made as how it fits. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with code STAPLE20.
Return conversation with Jay Packy Dempsey. He goes by Packy. He's a retired police officer in Alabama. He's involved in a fatal shooting, which we'll return to our discussing, developed PTSD, had to change agencies as a result of that, and some threats to him and his family, what he does about it today. He's author of the book, Fastest 4 Seconds. His website is fastest4seconds.com. Packy, returning to the conversation about this shooting, was there anything in this lead up to this event that made you think today's going to be the day where bad stuff's going to happen?
No, sir. Absolutely not. It was a beautiful December day. It was extra warm. I was having a wonderful day.
And when things go bad for me, there's usually something that makes the radar bells go off. And you said earlier in the conversation, and I'm not criticizing you because I wasn't there, but you said you patted him down for drugs with him facing you, and that was the first mistake you made. Did you realize then, or when did you realize that things were going to get really bad?
When he went for my weapon seconds later. He crossed my body because he was facing me. A huge mistake. It just started the tumbling blocks of mistakes that I made.
And one of the things, and I'm not here to second guess you, please believe me when I say that, but one of the things that we were taught early on, and there were many times in my police career that I'm like, I don't know how I survived. I really don't. We had a saying in the Baltimore Police Department, and particularly in the academy, was that complacency kills. And it kills all the time. Did you feel like you were being complacent about the call or the handling of this guy?
Complacent, something I dealt with day in, day out, and I got too comfortable.
Yeah, that's where. And the second guess was The second question is, you mentioned you were a canine officer, and we have backup with the canine dog. Did that play a role in your complacency?
Yes, sir. It made me feel bolder and more braver, and I was not aware that they had already made plans to do this to me.
That's the thing. So a lot of this stuff is not spur of the moment. A lot of it is planned out. And we had a saying, maybe personal, maybe department-wise, but death threats were common nature. And people would always talk a lot of smack as they were walking away. It was when they really planned it out and they put a course of action and they stepped through with the next phase of it that really got our attention. For example, in my career, we had death threats that were written by a city jail inmate that was sent to the homicide, or they interdicted it, and my name was mentioned, and they said they knew where I lived. And that was a big problem because this guy took the time to write it. When you say it was planned out, when did you become aware that this plan was put into play?
After the investigation and all the evidence was released to me after the second grand jury cleared me in the shooting. So
the second grand jury cleared you. The first one was they failed to indict, and then there was a second one called? They failed to indict or not indict. So I was on administrative leave for almost a year. That's a long time.
Yes, sir.
How old were you, or how recent were you policing in your career when this occurred?
I've been policing about 5 years. I was 25 years old, in really good shape.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that, because I'm an old geezer now. And here's what the truth is. I'm down almost 61 pounds. But what used to work in my 20s and 30s, hitting the gym, cutting back on food, certain things, worked great. That didn't work in my 40s and 50s, and it certainly doesn't work in my 60s. It's a lot harder now to get in shape.
I agree.
You got to be really dedicated to it. But back in my prime, I was about 210 pounds fighting weight, and I was benching 300 pounds, and I was super strong. I had a good cardio. But there were certain calls where, man, if the help didn't get there, it was going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly seriously. Did that feel like the situation for you, or did it happen so quick that you didn't get a chance to even think about it?
No, sir. After 1 minute, I was spent. I felt like I had jogged in the cold uphill. My arms ached. I almost gave up.
And what was the old saying that you learned in the police academy? Never quit.
That's right. My instructor from the Trooper Academy told me, get up. I saw a picture of my family and said, somebody else is going to walk her down the aisle. And I said, no, he's not. And I got up and continued the fight.
Here's one of the things that I say this, when you said earlier with your backup gun, you didn't know. You thought you fired 2 rounds, you fired 5, which is not uncommon. But I remember clearly thinking in one of the last shooting I was in, that a thought entered my mind that this guy's trying to kill me. And I'm going to die, but it won't be tonight. It won't be because of you, or meaning him. And I would do whatever it took to survive. Did that train of thought enter your mind at all?
Once I regained my footing and realized that it was time to fight back, I was like, I may be going down, but I'm taking him with me.
That's the best way to be. And there's an old saying, I'm probably going to butcher it, but fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark and it's starting to rain.
It's starting to rain. That's correct.
Because that's the way things got. Before we get into what happened with the shooting, what would the final outcome in court be for a guy who had a little bit of crack and did some gambling? Probation. Hardly worth a life and death situation, isn't it?
Unbeknownst to me, the suspect had 2 grand jury indictments, and they had been trying to find him, and they suspected him in other murders. So he had all that on his mind. He wasn't worried about the crack as it was me finding out actually who he was.
So he was a murderer, a murder suspect.
Murder suspect, yes, sir.
And here's the one thing. I had different mindsets with different people. For example, we did a recent interview with a guy who was involved in a near deadly fight where he got shot with .308 rifle by a pedophile. And one of the things I said to him was pedophiles were not normally violent. But you didn't know who this guy was and what kind of violence he was capable of before you encountered him, did you?
That's correct.
A lot of people seem to think that police have some sort of X-ray vision. We can tell who people are, who the bad guys are, all that stuff, and know what they're about before we even talk to them. That's just not true. We're humans.
That's correct. All the other suspects, the other 7 guys there, they all knew me. I just had never seen this kid before.
So he was not part of the normal crew for that call. We're talking with Jay Packy Dempsey. He goes by Packy. He's a retired police officer in Alabama. He was involved in a fatal shooting, which we'll continue talking about in a few moments, developed PTSD, had to change agencies. And as a result of his experience, he wrote the book, Fastest 4 Seconds. His website, you can get more details about him. The book is fastest4seconds.com. That's fastest4seconds.com. You can find us on Facebook. Look for and like the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show Facebook page. This is the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. If you do any business on social media, creating content is one thing. The trick is, how do you turn those people that comment on your social media into consumers? There's a great tool, and you can get more information at letpops.com. That's letpops.com. Best of all, you can get started for free. letpops.com. Check it out today.
With the state of today's economy, it is more important than ever to invest in products that last for years to come. As the seasons shift and get cooler, make sure your closet is stocked with durable layers that stand the test of time from American Giant. American Giant's clothes work harder and are wearable season after season. Their greatest hoodie ever made is made of the highest quality materials that are cut and sewn right here in the United States. So you're investing right back into your local community. Choosing American Giant means taking a stand for American manufacturing and hardworking Americans, something other mega corporations don't care about. From fleece to knit, all in a range of colors for versatile daily wear, American Giant delivers everyday pieces designed for everyday life. Feel the difference of quality made-to-last clothes from American Giant. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at american-giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at american-giant.com with code STAPLE20.
Return a conversation with Jay Packy Dempsey. He goes by Packy. He's a retired police officer in this great state of Alabama. He's involved in a fatal shooting, which we'll return to our conversation about. He developed PTSD as a result of that and other incidents. He had to change agencies, which we'll talk about as well. And he wrote a book called The Fastest 4 Seconds. And his website, get more details about the book. Him is fastest4seconds.com. Jay, return to our conversation about the shooting. When did you find out the status of this guy that you wound up shooting?
About a year later, the ABI and the FBI did a post-interview or post-investigation and explained to me with photographs and reports and witnesses what had actually unfolded in the guy's mind.
And did you find out right away that this guy was dead on arrival?
Yes, sir. Something interesting. I fired 5 rounds. He turned and ran ineffective. I gave chase. He fell down, turned, and tried to fire my weapon again. I approached him with an empty gun. I didn't know. I thought I had fired 2 rounds. I knew it had 5, but I had fired all my rounds. The dog engaged. I was able to break the gun away, clear the weapon, and had a few choice words with the gang members. I don't remember what I said, but it kept them off of me. The dog downed and started barking until I could get back to my radio and go 00.
So you were aware at this point, I guess I'm going to go back to the question. Wouldn't you become aware that he did not survive?
Right there when I took the gun away, I reached under his head to try to hold him, and he died right there in my arms.
And did that have an impact on you? Because I already know the answer to this question, but did it have an impact on you?
Yes, sir, it does.
What was that about?
I feel that I took a life, and he made me make that decision, which angered me, that he put me in that situation. I knew his dad. He took his last breath as I was waiting on backup, which took from the time I radioed to the first trooper arrived, it was 3 minutes.
Which seems like an eternity, by the way. 3 minutes can be a lifetime.
I could hear the sirens coming from miles away, and it was in a cul-de-sac, so they couldn't drive straight to me. They had to circle through the subdivisions, and it felt like a long time.
I found myself in my career, as I look back, in some of the deadly use of force situations, and I said earlier that everybody survived, thank God, but I would get mad. Really, and I can't really describe it in a way, but primordial. It is almost a primitive thing where I'd be forced to do things that I did not want to do because of their actions, and I would yell at them. Did you find yourself losing your control at all? No, sir.
I lost my hearing. My vision was very blurred. I could see my pulse in my eyes. I never lost control, but I never said another word until even when they arrived. I couldn't really talk. It's hard to describe that. All the event and what had happened and what I thought was going to happen to me just overwhelmed me.
So here's the really ugly stuff. You spent a year on desk duty, for a lack of better words, while this is being investigated by a grand jury. Am I correct?
No, sir. I sat at home.
You were at home. You weren't even on the job.
That's correct.
Did you feel like that you were persona non grata, that you were not welcome at that agency anymore because of that?
I was not allowed at the sheriff's office or to wear a uniform on part-time duties. Christmas time, you make the extra money. I wasn't allowed any of that. They were trying to protect me. At the time, I felt paranoid that they were out to get me.
I understand that. And here's one thing a lot of people say. When a lot of police, and I use that term to include state troopers, sheriff's deputies, constables, you name it, when they are hurt in the line of duty and they get their pay cut to about 66, well, if you're still active duty, you're going to get your base pay. But all overtime ceases. So if you're relying on that overtime to make ends meet, you're in trouble. And then, like me, when you're hurt and retired, then all of a sudden my pay went from, let's say, a certain amount to 66 2/3 of that, and all overtime ceased. And my health insurance tripled. So it created a really bad financial situation. You had the stress of what happened and the financial impact on you. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, sir. You're hitting the nail on the head.
It's awfully easy to get into the woe is me, the poor me, and to be angry at other people, especially agency. And you hinted that you were kind of a little resentful at them.
Yes, sir. And now I see where they were coming from. They just didn't know what to say because they didn't know how it was going to go.
Right, I get that. Let's fast forward. Your second grand jury, they didn't indict. You is found to be justified. And I'm sure that you returned to work and tried to continue on. When did you realize that things needed to change, that you're in an unsafe situation?
I couldn't do anything, Jay, because because of the color of my skin. I was getting complaints. I was getting sued because of this and the newspapers and threats on my family. And I was just blessed to take a call to come to Orange Beach.
And when you say the media, that this is something that I harp on all the time, and it's gotten remarkably much worse. This is from my own experience. They can say whatever you want about a police officer in the line of duty because you are a public figure. And there's not a whole lot of recourse that you can do about it. But they can spread accusations in the form of questions that people, they remember, and they treat you differently. Did you feel that at all?
Oh, yes, sir. But I had a circle of trusted officers, friends, pastors, and they carried me through it.
And then you said you wound up getting a call to Orange Beach. You want to tell us about that?
Yes, sir. Received a call. They needed a firearm instructor, and I took the call and drove straight through, took the job, come back, pre-cell phone. Hey, baby, we're moving to the beach.
Well, it's not all bad you're going to the beach. So there's an upside to it, but I'm sure you didn't see it at the time. If you're like me, I thought I was going to start my career there and finish my career there, and that was it. I was going to get promoted, and I was going to make a difference. And that was not in the cards for me, and apparently was not in the cards for you.
No, sir, it wasn't. I had aspirations of being the sheriff. I stayed in the media with my dog, went to all the school functions. I had a really good rapport with the general public.
What was your dog's name?
Princess.
Princess, a female.
Yes, sir.
That's uncommon. Well, back then, what year was this again?
1994.
It was very uncommon for police dogs to not be male when they talk about patrol dogs, and Princess sounded like she was a patrol dog.
She was, yes, sir.
Man, I love dogs. My wife and I, we love dogs. We have a Rottweiler at home now. His name is Enoch, and nobody gets me like he does. And he's our 13th Rottweiler.
That's correct.
One of the things I tell people about him is I'm an old retired cop, and I have a neighbor who said to me when I was walking my dog one day, he goes, "Are you a retired first responder?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm retired Baltimore police." He goes, I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you don't talk to nobody. You keep to yourselves." We're talking with Jay Packy Dempsey. He's a retired police officer from Alabama, developed PTSD from police work and a fatal shooting. We'll return to our conversation in a few moments. He wrote the book Fastest 4 Seconds. His website is fastest4seconds.com. Of all the radio stations in the United States, there are no other shows like the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show. And on Facebook, there's only one official page. Do a search on Facebook for the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show, and be sure to like the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show Facebook page. And this is the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show. We're going to take a short break. I promise you, we'll be right back.
How would you like a free ebook on tips to improve your health? We're talking about tips you can use for free to add years to your life. Best of all, the ebook is free to download at lethealthy.com. When we say free, we mean free. So you can download the free ebook to improve your physical health, all while preserving your financial health. Get the ebook for free today at lethealthy.com. That's at lethealthy.com. Again, the website is lethealthy.com.
Since 2011, American Giant has been making everyday clothing with extraordinary effort. Not in far-off factories, but right here in the USA. We obsess over fabrics, fit, and details, because if you're going to wear it every day, it should feel great and last for years. From the cut of a hoodie to the finishing of a seam, nothing is overlooked. Our supply chain is tight-knit and local, which means less crisscrossing the country and more care in every step. The result is durable clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, and denim that become part of your life season after season. This isn't fast fashion, it's clothing made with purpose by people who care as much about how it's made as how it fits. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with code STAPLE20.
Return a conversation with Jay Packy Dempsey, retired police officer in Alabama. And he was involved in a fatal shooting, which we've talked about. We'll continue to talk about that in a few moments. Developed PTSD, had to change agencies, which we'll discuss again in a few moments. And he wrote the book called The Fastest 4 Seconds about his experience. And his website is fastest4seconds.com. That's fastest4seconds.com. Packy, when you say fastest 4 seconds, is that how much time elapsed with the shooting?
Yes, sir. That's when I made the determination. I had it under control till I'm fixing to die. I need to do something. It took me about 4 seconds to make the transition and apply deadly force.
And the thing I'm getting at is the entire incident lasts about a minute, and your decision-making was about 4 seconds. And people think TV has a lot to do with this. They think it goes on forever and ever and ever, and it doesn't.
That's right.
Most shootings are over and done with within like 5 seconds, I believe.
The national average is 4 seconds, yes, sir.
That's pretty quick. So when we left, you were, in the last segment, talking about going to Orange Beach, Alabama. You were married. Did you have children at the time?
I had a daughter, Megan and Jaylee, yes.
So not only your spouse, but your children had to pick up and move and start a whole new life in a different part of that state of Alabama. Am I wrong?
That's correct. You had to move away from all our family.
So there's a price they paid. And I'm sure if your daughters are like mine, they're going to remind you that periodically.
They actually thank me now.
Well, Orange Beach, I don't know where you were in Alabama before, and I don't know Alabama, but I've heard of Orange Beach. I don't know a whole lot about other parts of the state.
Yes, sir. I was from Selma, Alabama, home in 1965, racial marches with Martin Luther King.
And there's a lot of history that goes on. And by the way, we're still paying a price for a lot of actions that people did. I think that was 1964, 65. I was a youngster.
That's it. Yes, sir. 65.
But we're still paying the price for people think that it's okay to treat someone badly that wasn't even alive or policing during the time frame because of what occurred. So you changed agencies, and eventually PTSD started to raise its ugly head in your life. How was the impact?
I couldn't take the blood on my hands in the last breath. I couldn't take that this guy that I knew his dad had taken him away from all the holiday outings, and I would do anything to get it off my mind, Jay. Drink, pornography. I would take out credit cards and shop till I maxed them out. Inappropriate texting, anything to make it stop.
And I'm not surprised by any of that. For me personally, it was alcohol. And I got sober 30-some-odd years ago. And I, to this day, don't understand the correlation. But for me, the combination of trauma and alcohol is like pouring gasoline on a fire.
Yes, sir.
And someone said, some experts, they say, because if you don't deal with it now, that stuff works great until it stops working. And that's what I found myself is the alcohol in particular became another source of a problem where it used to be my crutch.
That's correct.
So when did you decide you needed to do something about this?
All came to a head in 2020. I was given the ultimatum: you will quit drinking, you will see this counselor, and you will take this medication, or we're gone.
You tell your spouse, I'm sure that's the one who said that thank you for doing that, because they saved your life.
They did.
And a lot of times we don't realize it. I didn't realize at the time that I was given a similar ultimatum, but it was, you just don't understand. Did you find yourself in a situation where you're like, you don't understand, and lashing out at her?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I totally regret those days. I feel like all I got to do is make up for being that terrible person.
And the next question, and then we'll go into your book. For me, it's I spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation to try to, and I say this to get back to my center. I'll never be like I was when I was 18. And it's like orthopedic surgery. I don't expect to be. But there are certain things I do, like go to bed around the same time every night, wake up at the same time every day, eat around the same time every day, and pray and meditate. Do you pray and meditate, or do you have a routine?
Yes, sir. I put pennies in the jar every day. I get up, do my Bible lesson. I contact 5 of my closest friends going through the same struggle. I get out, I walk a mile in the parking lot, pick up trash, and this is before 5 a.m.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I walk my dog every day. In the morning, we have long walks, and in the evening, before bedtime, we have long walks. And I pray, I meditate, I unplug, I get away from all outside stimulus, and it really seems to have a profound effect. And you know what? I don't get as far away from my center as I used to be. Is that fair for you?
I feel the Spirit of God, and He just draws me back. Hey, what you're thinking is wrong. Jay, I got so bad I had to put covenant eyes on my phone and let my pastor and my wife look at my internet usage and look at my text messaging, and I've got all those roadblocks in there now, and I can't let them down.
Right. I get it. So let's talk about writing the book. What prompted you to write this book, Fastest 4 Seconds?
Trooper King from Selma, Alabama, state troopers asked me to come back and teach the class. He called 3 times. I finally gave in. I gave my lesson. I was able to minister to these guys, talk about how fast things go down, and I realized that was what God had planned all along. People don't want to hear in a classroom of something that they don't want to hear you talk about something that hasn't been done to you.
Right.
They want to hear the real deal.
No, I get it. I always say this, and one of the pieces of advice I give to people when they say, oh, meet so-and-so, my son or my nephew or my niece, they want to be police officers. And what would you suggest? And the first thing I tell them is get yourself a trauma-informed therapist. Be proactive. Don't wait until the bad stuff happens. And book smarts are great. There's nothing wrong with that, but get yourself someone who really knows.
That's right. Listen to them old dogs. They've already made the mistake. They're trying to keep you from making the same thing.
So the book's called Fastest 4 Seconds. When you started writing it, how long did it take?
I'm still in writing it. It finishes at the end of this month and goes to publishing in January.
So let me ask you this. When did you start? Because it's a whole lot longer than 4 seconds.
Actually, I started 15 years ago with all collecting pallets of data and video and statements and photographs, and it's taken about 15 years, and it's finally, the Lord put the right guy, Christian writer, in my path, and it just took off.
So last question before we go to your website. Do you ever look back and say, that was a different guy or that was a different time of my life? Does it seem like there's a before and after to you?
I look back and I say, that guy's dead. You're this guy now.
See, I look back and I go, that's all part of the reason why I am today. However, I don't want to be that guy. I accept that's part of my past. But there's times, honestly, where it feels like it's a different person. Let's go to your website, fastest4seconds.com. That's fastest4seconds.com. Can people reach out to you? Can they get more information about you? The book when it's available?
That's correct. The book, my speaking engagements, my training at department and academies that I do, they're starting to get wind of it through the academy media, social media, and the speaking engagements are increasing. But I had to put God first in this, Jay, to get it where it's at. Before, it was all about me. Woe is me. Well, I'm not that guy anymore.
Right, and I think it's a great way of putting it, that if it's all about you, you're in bad company. That's really what it's about. And God is the center of my life. That's fine. My wife is extremely important to me. My daughters are very... As a matter of fact, there's some people that really matter what they think of me. My wife, my daughters, my mother. Everybody else doesn't really matter. And the type of person I am, how I live my life is what predicts how I do today. I want to thank you for your service, Packy, and I want to thank you for telling your story. Both very much appreciated.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank our guests for coming on the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show. The Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show is a nationally syndicated weekly radio show broadcast on numerous AM and FM radio stations across the country. We're always adding more affiliate stations. If you enjoyed the podcast version of the show, which is always free, please do me a favor and tell a friend or 2 or 3. I'll be back in just a few days with another episode of the Law Enforcement Talk Radio Show and Podcast. Until then, this is John J. Wiley. See ya.
With the state of today's economy, it is more important than ever to invest in products that last for years to come. As the seasons shift and get cooler, make sure your closet is stocked with durable layers that stand the test of time from American Giant. American Giant's clothes work harder and are wearable season after season. Their greatest hoodie ever made is made of the highest quality materials that are cut and sewn right here in the United States. So you're investing right back into your local community. Choosing American Giant Giant means taking a stand for American manufacturing and hardworking Americans, something other mega corporations don't care about. From fleece to knit, all in a range of colors for versatile daily wear, American Giant delivers everyday pieces designed for everyday life. Feel the difference of quality made-to-last clothes from American Giant. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at american-giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at american-giant.com with code STAPLE20.
Step into the shadows of history with the Your Town podcast. Each week, we uncover the chilling, bizarre, and often forgotten true stories that shape towns big and small, from notorious crimes to legends that refuse to die. If you love gripping storytelling, dark mysteries, and a journey into the past that feels way too real, this is the show for you. New episodes drop every Monday, so subscribe now and start exploring the stories history tried to bury. The Your Town podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts.